Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is Manga-kun.
Let's begin our story on a sunny day at the Shen family villa. A shirtless man with long hair is doing martial arts training, punching a log. On his final blow, he manages to destroy the log. He is Shen Zhang. He clenched his hand and was happy with his accomplishments. Suddenly, a man applauds and mockingly praises him, saying he is strong, and manages to destroy the log with a few punches. He is Shen Zhenhua, and behind him are his two dogs, what I mean is his two comrades, who also mock Shen Xiang, saying that it looks like their Shen family's hope is now in the hands of Shen Xiang. Shen Xiang wanted to know Shen Zhenhua's real motive for coming. Shen Zhenhua smirked and asked what he meant. He clarified that he just wanted to tell him not to embarrass the Shen family in its martial arts training ground. He swings his hand, and the logs are cut into pieces, and he asks Shen Xiang if he wants to punch those broken logs just to make others laugh. Seeing this amazes the two puppies, and they praise him, stating that Shen Zhenhua is very strong and his Kai is genuinely from the 4th level of the mortal martial realm. Shen Zhenhua pointed his finger and reminded him that even if he did his best to practice every day until his hands bled, he would forever be trash if he didn't have a spiritual vein. As he keeps talking, his two comrades support his sarcasm with their laughs. He continues belittling Shen Zhang, saying that he just keeps hiding in his shell like his trash father. Hearing this makes Shen Zhang's ear burn. He dares Shen Zhenhua to repeat what he said. Shen Zhenhua asks if there's anything wrong with what he said. He goes on to say that, with the strength of Shen Zhang's father, Shen Tianhu, he can definitely compete for the position of patriarch. But it's a pity that his father lost the qualification to participate because of him. He added that Shen Tianhu was so old and could only live to humbly feed a scumbag like Shen Xiang, which he found quite pitiful. Shen Xiang got full of him and shouted, asking if he was trying to pick a fight. He punches Shen Zhenhua but manages to dodge, yet gets surprised after realizing he received a scratch on his face. He jumped back and frustratedly declared that he was angry and he would finish him off. On the other hand, as Shen Xiang jumped forward to make another attack, he reminds himself that Shen Zhenhua is just at the 4th mortal martial realm and only relying on true Kai, but is lazy about practicing. If it's just physical combat, he has some chance of winning. Upon getting closer, Shen Zhenhua was still confident and continued belittling him. Shen Zhenhua greets him with a punch, but Shen Xiang manages to step sideward and dodge the attack. Shen Zhenhua gets surprised after learning that a trash like Shen Xiang has become so flexible. Shen Xiang sees his opportunity and releases a massive blow. One of the minions gets shocked, his mouth wide open, and a bucket of sweat emerges from his face after witnessing the defeat of their comrades. Who is the genius of the Shen family, yet gets defeated by Shen Xiang, who is only relying on his physique. But his comrade corrected him and told him to take a look. Back to the fight scene, Shen Xiang's bone crashes because, at the final moment, Shen Zhenhua manages to use his body protection Kai to protect himself. He spun into the air and unleashed a decisive blow, resulting in a massive explosion and a beaten face for Shen Xiang. Standing before his beaten opponent, Shen Zhenhua admitted that this trash almost defeated him. He grabs him by the hair, and as he does so, one of his comrades asks if he already reached the 5th mortal martial realm. Shen Zhenhua smiled and replied that although he was newly advanced, it seemed to him that it worked well. He lifts Shen Xiang and asks if he uses his cleverness just to sneak up on him. He wondered what to do with his beaten opponent. He laughs, releases a powerful aura into his hand, and punches his opponent in the chest, causing it to spit blood, was thrown in the distance and crashed to the wall. He's not satisfied yet. He releases a magical aura, and before unleashing it, he tells Shen Xiang to die. A massive explosion occurred, and as he stood before the gray smoke, he felt relief that he already finished off his opponent. But he gets surprised after seeing his uncle, the father of Shen Xiang, Shen Tianhu, who arrived at the exact time to save his son. Shen Zhenhua praises his uncle for having good cultivation and manages to block the direct attack from him. Shen Tianhu looked at him and furiously told him to get lost. Shen Zhenhua froze for a second, and before leaving, he reminded his uncle that it won't be long before the time came to compete for the position of head of the family. He proudly says to wait and see if his father will succeed in getting the position. On the other hand, the beaten Shen Xiang told his father he was a burden. His father picked him up and explained that the road of martial arts is not for everyone. Ordinary people have their own way of life and don't need to be bothered by it. Tears fell from his eyes, and he replied that the Shen family doesn't accept mortals. Sometime later, inside his room, as he sat and read a book, a voice of a woman outside was calling for him and asking if he was inside. Shen Xiang wondered if it was Zion. Outside, a girl with a healthy pair of papaya, wearing a green dress, with shiny blonde hair and a pair of flower in her hair, informs Shen Tianhu that she have come here so many times. Still, Shen Xiang refuses to see her even once. She asks if Shen Xiang was seriously injured. Shen Tianhu politely told her to go home because Shen Xiang would not come out to see her. The confused Xian asks the reason and adds that she is Shen Xiang's fiancé, Shen Tian, who told her to end their arranged marriage. In a shocked tone, Xian asks what he means. As his eyes closed, Shen Tian, who explained that she was the Zhu family's treasure and a martial arts genius. But his son Shen Xiang doesn't have a spiritual vein. His whole life is destined to be lived on as just a mortal, and doesn't deserve to be with her. Hearing the truth makes Shen Xiang feel sad and cry. Xian replied that they loved each other and it was enough reason for them to continue the marriage. Shen Tian, who informs her that the decision for marriage is decided by both parents, and asks her to go home. Inside the room, Shen Xiang is determined to become strong. He is willing to defy everything to become stronger for Xian, his father, and also for himself. Sometimes later, wind, thunder, and rain cover the area at the dead place of the Immortal Devil Cliff, and a man can be seen trying to hold onto the ridge to not fall. It was Shen Xiang who felt relief after reaching the place. He looked up and saw what he was looking for. It is a hell spirit grass that appears once every 1,000 years. It can only be picked on the yin day of the yin year and yin month. He doesn't know how many years he will have to wait if he misses this opportunity. If he turns it into an elixir, even though he doesn't have a spiritual vein, he can instantly break through to the 5th level. He grabbed the hell spirit grass, picked it up, and told himself it was time to reverse his destiny. Suddenly, a lightning bolt hit the mountain from above, and boulders fell in his direction. He grits his teeth and asks heaven if it's trying to make fun of him. As he fell, he couldn't accept that all his effort could be lost instantly. He raised his hand and grabbed onto the cliff, but the rock he was just holding got broken, and he fell. As he falls, tears fall from his eye. It's just a little bit more, and he would no longer be trash, but this happened. He slowly opened his eyes, and it widened upon seeing the 2 beautiful girls wearing blue dresses, and both of them had a pair of healthy papayas. He wondered if he had died, but before he could think more, the girl with gray hair and blue eyes smiled, called him a little brat, and warned him that she would leave him to die if he didn't get up. Moments later, Shen Xiang introduced himself and explained what he had come for. He told them he was trying to harvest some herbs above the cliff, but the cliff started shaking, and then he fell. He clarified that he didn't intend to offend the 2 seniors. The gray-haired girl sighed and voiced out her disappointment. She explained that she thought they finally had someone to save them. But it turns out that the person they expected to save them was a little brat with no spiritual vein. She continued to say it was okay, at least when they die, someone will surely build graves for them. Scratching the back of his head, he asks the senior how she said those things. The gray-haired girl angrily told him not to call them seniors but instead sisters. She stated that the death of Kai surrounds this Immortal Devil Cliff, and it takes someone with a strong physique and Kai to get out of here. The 2 of them are injured at the bottom of this cliff, and wild animals are raging around. She asks if he understands their situation. The black-haired girl stood up, holding her left arm, and moaned in pain. Seeing this makes Shen Xiang worried. He offers some spirit herbs to heal the wounds, but the girl informs him that her injuries can't be treated with normal spirit herbs and asks him to bury them when they die. Shen Xiang held her hand like he was trying to propose, and the girl was stunned like a gentle cat. Shen Xiang told her they wouldn't know if they didn't try. He added that he still has very important matters to tend to and believes they have a reason to continue living too. So even if he has to bet everything, he will, and asks her to try the pill even once. Hearing those words surprised the gray-haired girl, and look at him. Hence, she said to her sister that this little brat had a point and they had nothing to lose if they tried. The black-haired girl turns around, and some wounds can be seen on her back. With a blushed face and his right arm covering his eyes, Shen Xiang describes that this kind of sight is inappropriate for a man and a woman, and it's not convenient for him to do it. The gray-haired girl explained they were seriously injured and asked him to rub the medicine. As he fingered the medicine, "What I mean is he is getting some medicine in the pouch, and being a gentleman like me, he apologized before rubbing the medicine on her back." The black-haired girl turned her head, looked at him, and smirked. Before he reached the forbidden area, a pink aura emerged from the black-haired girl and surrounded him. He has a blank eye, and the black-haired girl recited that in front of her mystical skills, all men will reveal their true nature, and she commands him to follow his instinct. As he slowly got closer to the forbidden area, he came to his senses and received a slap from the girl. He quickly kneeled and asked for forgiveness. He clarified that he felt like he was being controlled by something. Holding her cheek, the gray-haired girl told her senior sister that this little brat was good. The black-haired girl replied that the guy had a strong will and good character. The gray-haired girl congratulates him for passing the test and asks him to come closer. With a closed fist and an open palm that bumped into each other, Shen Xiang wondered if the test was the thing that had just happened earlier. The gray-haired girl told him that she would now tell the truth. She introduces herself as Su Meiyao, the lord of the Dangsang Herbal Manor. The black-haired girl is her senior sister, Bai Yuyu, the princess of the Devil's Domain. Shen Xiang was shocked and confused after learning who was before him. Su Meiyao continued to explain that they were attacked by a personal enemy, and were severely wounded. They are now unable to move and have even lost their previous strength. Moreover, formidable demon beasts lurk around the area and inform him that they must leave quickly. Shen Xiang asks what's the plan. Bai Yu justifies that they will be gifting him the extreme yin and yang divine veins of her and her sister Su Meiyao. If he can refine them, he can break through the death kai of the immortal devil cliff and escape. Su Meiyao winked and informed him that he should know that with her and her sister's characteristics, even if they die, they will not give their veins to a person of low characteristics. And that's why her senior sister just used her powers to test him. After hearing all the revelations, Shen Xiang asks if he has passed the test. Bai Yu told him not to rush and be happy. The fusion and refinement of divine veins is not something ordinary people can do, and death may even be involved. She reminded him that he could think about it carefully and he could also refuse. Without thinking twice, Shen Xiang declared that he won't refuse because this was the opportunity he had been waiting for. Su Meiyao officially asks if he is willing to sign a blood pact with the two of them, receive the divine veins, and help them recover their cultivation in the future. With a strong will, Shen Xiang stated that he accepts, adding that as long as he becomes stronger, he will do anything. Su Meiyao commended him and announced that they would start the process. They both put their hands on Shen Xiang and transferred their divine power. Pink and yellow aura emerged from their hand, and in the process, Shen Xiang felt massive pain all over his body. He shouted in pain, and some blood splashed from his body. Su Meiyao elaborates that Shen Xiang's meridians are already broken, and his divine consciousness is also constantly shrinking. She wondered if the fusion of divine veins was still too difficult for him. Suddenly, a loud growl echoed in the cave. Su Meiyao identified this as the sound of a ferocious beast and wondered if this brat touched the hell spirit grass. She explained that the beasts guarding the hell spirit grass are all above the 7th level. If this continues, they will definitely die. She informs Shen Xiang that his condition is now complicated to continue. He can save half of his life if he gives up now. Enduring the great pain through his body, Shen Xiang declared that he would never give up. As his eyes closed, he reminded himself that he was born without a spiritual vein. Even with all his efforts so far, he has been unable to catch up with others. When his family needed support, he couldn't help either. Now that the opportunity was in front of him, he shouted and declared that even if he died, he wouldn't give up. Blood splashes all over his body and he falls to the ground. The two tried to wake him up, but a sudden explosion occurred in the area. They slowly turned their head and saw a huge beast rampaging inside the cave. Su Meiyao asks what they should do. Bai Yu ordered her to look at Shen Xiang's wounds and meridians. Upon seeing the scars, Su Meiyao was amazed after learning that Shen Xiang's wounds were healing on their own, and she wondered if they had succeeded. Su Meiyao revealed that if this little brat was so lucky, once he smoothly refined the two divine veins, she was afraid no one would be his opponent. Bai Yu informs her that Shen Xiang still needs a little more time, so she advises that they will cover and hold the beasts, and upon doing so, they may still have some hope. Su Meiyao agrees with her, and she jumps toward the monster. She punches it in the face, and it looks like she just tickles the beast and gets angry. The beast releases a purple aura, swings his tail, and manages to hit the two. As she endured the pain, Bai Yu thought that this beast would have been killed in one strike if they still had their original power. The beast growled and tried to attack the sleeping beauty, but he received a destruction attack from Bai Yu. She told the beast not to go over there and caught it in the tail using her grasping soul devil curse. The beast fell to the ground, and as she held the beast, she expected that the situation was still quite reluctant right now, but she just needed to buy time for a little longer. The beast lifted her up using his tail and smashed to the ground. He turned around and planned to finish off the sleeping beauty who stole the hell spirit grass. Upon seeing this, the two get stunned, knowing their situation has become so difficult. Suddenly, a massive explosion of yellow aura emerged from Shen Xiang, causing the beast to be sent away. The two were surprised upon seeing this, and their mouths got wide open like they were ready to eat some jumbo hot dog. They held each other hand and were happy that Shen Xiang's fusion speed was much faster than expected. Shen Xiang stood up, and a divine aura emerged from his body. Yin and Yang symbols can be seen behind him. He looked at his clenched fist and wondered if this was the feeling of having divine veins. He felt that the power seemed to be gushing out of his body. He turns his head and looks at his two senior sisters. Shen Xiang bumps his two fists and thanks them for sacrificing their lives to buy enough time for him. Su Meiyao smiled, pointed her finger at the beast, and asked him to try fighting the beast to test his strength. The angry beast angrily runs toward them, and Shen Xiang runs toward his two seniors to save them. He grabbed them in their curved waist and jumped into the boulder. He told them they would be safer in this location while he was dealing with the beast. He quickly jumps down towards the beast, and as he does so, he feels the reaction time and jumping power are several times stronger than before. He prepared his fist to try his new strength and managed to hit the beast's body. He jumps down and grits his teeth after knowing his attack has no effect. The beast sighed in his nose and released multiple attacks. Shen Xiang had nothing to do but just jump to dodge the attack. Su Meiyao shouted at him and informed him that even a beast could use true Kai to attack. She called him a stupid boy and added that he's still using his brute force. As he clenches his fist, Shen Xiang is aware that he now has more than just brute force. As he jumps backward, he can feel an aura rapidly flowing through his meridians and is about to burst out. He makes a fist, feels the power of his true Kai, and challenges the demon beast. The beast got furious and unleashed a powerful attack from his mouth. Shen Xiang dodged it and flew beside the beast's feet. He prepared to attack and felt that he was faster this time. He unleashed a mighty blow directly to the beast's stomach, causing it to fly away and growl in pain. As he felt his new strength, some boulder began to fall. Su Meiyao calls him a little brat and informs him that he was so careless. She asks him to come because the place is about to collapse, and they must leave quickly. Shen Xiang quickly jumped toward them and told them he would get them out. Su Meiyao ordered him to put some blood in the ring so it would recognize him as its master. She informs him that it is a storage ring, and he can put the two inside of it. The beast quickly runs away, hoping he will not be buried alive. Su Meiyao told them they needed to go before it was too late. The two quickly went inside the ring, and Shen Xiang prepared himself to leave the place. As he did so, he was excited to meet his father and his fiancée, Zion, when he returned. Sometimes later, at the Shen Xiang house, after filling up a bucket of water, Shen Xiang calls Su Meiyao and informs her that the water has already been poured. If she wants to take a bath, she can go to the Chen family's bath, and he informs her that she doesn't have to do it in this room. Su Meiyao flicks him to his two heads, what I mean is in his forehead, and reminds him that others must not know their identities. Otherwise, it will be his death. She slowly removed her dress and said she could finally take a bath. Because Shen Xiang is a gentleman like me, he covered his eye and told her he would guard the door. Su Meiyao told him to stay, while Bai Yu ordered him to turn around and close his eyes. Shen Xiang followed their orders. He turned around and closed his eyes. As he did so, Su Meiyao told him she had something for him. Still covering his eyes, Shen Xiang asks what it is. In a naughty voice, Su Meiyao ordered him to come closer. Still, with closed eyes, a bull nose, and a monkey face, Shen Xiang followed her order. Su Meiyao commands him to lower his head a little more. The orangutan asks which head, and Su Meiyao orders him to show his lower head. Shen Xiang grabbed his lower head and showed it to them.
What a pervert. Do you want me to fire you? Why are you always changing the script?
Sorry, sir, it won't happen again. I was just carried away by my burning feelings.
Okay, fine. Just continue your narration so our viewers will not get bored because of you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, guys, let's get back to our story. Su Meiyao ordered him to lower his head a little more, and when he did so, she touched his forehead, and a yellow aura sparked at the end of her finger. Shen Xiang wondered what it was, and suddenly, a lot of written things appeared before him. Su Meiyao explained that this is the cultivation method she practiced, the 4 symbols of divine art, which had been passed on to him through her spiritual consciousness. Her understanding of this cultivation method has also been passed on to him, so he just needs to practice accordingly. She added that according to the cultivation method, he needs to run the true Kai through his body to feel it. As he sat in a lotus position, Shen Xiang replied that he would try. A burning core can be seen inside his body, and he informs his senior sister, Su Meiyao, that he can feel a fire surging wildly in his body. Su Meiyao explained that it was the fire of true Kai. She told him that he started pretty quickly but needed to keep practicing and try to control the power. Bai Yu informs him that her junior sister, Su Meiyao, used to be an alchemist. She advised him to also try those secret alchemy methods and reminded him that alchemy requires extremely great talent, so he doesn't have to force himself to learn it. Shen Xiang told them that these cultivation and heart methods had indeed been reflected in his mind. He wondered how both of them could transmit so much information through divine sense. He asked them if they were at the 8th or higher level of the mortal realm. Su Meiyao smiled and told him that he should know above the mortal martial realm there are true martial realms, the nirvana realm, and so on. The path of cultivation is much longer than he thinks. The Shenwu continent where he lives is just a drop of the ocean in the entire martial arts world. Bai Yu elaborates that their enemies can destroy the strongest man he has ever heard of with a snap of their fingers, so revealing their existence to anyone, including his loved ones, is prohibited. Shen Xiang thought that the 9th rank mortal martial realm was a peerless master, and now that he had learned a lot from the two, he wondered if everyone he knew was too weak compared to them. Su Meiyao points to his forehead and tells him not to worry. She reminded him that he has the yin and yang divine veins, he just needs to practice the 4 symbols of divine art and alchemy well. Eventually, he will become a god of the martial arts world. Moments later, after taking a bath, Bai Yu is unsatisfied and wants to soak for 2 more hours. She tells Shen Xiang that his foundation is too weak and will also teach him the devil cultivation methods when the time comes. Shen Xiang delightfully responds that he will polish himself well and not disobey them. Suddenly someone calls for him. His father is crying and worriedly asks if he is alright. He hugs his son and informs him that he heard that he just come back from the immortal devil cliff. He asks his son if the dead Kai gathered at the Immortal Devil Cliff caused any adverse effect on his body. Shen Zhang assures his father that he is fine. From inside the ring, Su Meiyao informs him not to worry because they are already hiding in the storage ring. Shen Tianhu grabbed his hand and wanted to see if there were any injuries. His eyes get widened after knowing that his son has a spiritual vein. Shen Zhang happily told his father that the Hell Spirit Grass is worthy of its reputation as a 1,000-years-old spiritual herb, and it's worth it that he takes the risk. Wiping his tears, Shen Tianhu commended his son. Shen Zhang clenched his fist and advised his father to compete for the position of patriarch. He believed that his father would succeed. He agreed to his son and thanked God for his goodwill. The two laugh and are excited to show the Shen clan how the two of them will become the new leader of Shen's family. 1 week later, at the Spirit Dan Pavilion. As he stood, Shen Zhang thought that after a week of practice, it seemed he could proficiently control the fire of true Kai. But as Su Meiyao said, if he wants to improve his power quickly, he must rely on refining elixirs. But after seeing the price, Shen Zhang cried like a baby because he couldn't even afford herbs to make some. Su Meiyao appeared in his mind and called him a fool. She suggested that if he couldn't afford the herbs, he could just grow them. Shen Zhang was confused and asked if she was joking because he knew a herb takes 3 years to grow. Su Meiyao revealed that it was for ordinary people. She had her own methods of growing the herbs. After their conversation, Shen Zhang quickly asked the attendant if they had seedlings of Azure Spirit Grass and Blood Element Flower. He asks the attendant to give him 5 of each. The attendant made a crab finger, told him that he would go fetch his order, and politely asked him to wait for a moment. After that, someone suddenly came and called him trash of the Shen family. The guy asks if he is buying herbs for his health. As it turns out, it was Shen Zhenhua, and beside him was a naughty chick wearing a pink dress with a healthy pear of papaya. She is the daughter of the governor of Wohu City, Hua Yungsen. She asks if the man before them is Shen Xiang and mockingly says it's so embarrassing that the Shen Zhenhua family has an eldest grandson like Shen Xiang. Shen Xiang just looks at them, ignores them, and turns around. Due to his action, Shen Zhenhua gets furious like a toro, while Hua Yungsen wonders why trash like him ignores Shen Zhenhua like this. With a spark of anger on his face, Shen Zhenhua asked Shen Xiang if he was itchy, bitsy, tinny, whinny, and wanted to fight him again. He prepared his Tanyang palm to attack, but Shen Xiang moved like a fast shadow and dodged his powerful attack. He was surprised and couldn't believe that my boy had easily dodged his attack. Shen Xiang mocked him, saying that he was slow and had no ability to beat anyone. He only trained his true Kai but not his body. Shen Zhenhua became more furious and told him that he had no right to be proud of himself. He made a blow, blood dropped to the ground, and Shen Xiang blocked his attack with a single hand. Still confident in his strength, Shen Zhenhua called him a fool and asked how dare Shen Xiang challenge him. He was sure that Shen Xiang's bones were already broken. With a fierce eye, Shen Xiang told him that he was physically weak and his true Kai was useless. Shen Zhenhua's eyes get widened and ask what he meant. Shen Xiang opens his palm and shows him how a true Kai works. A dazzling yellow light emerges from his palm surrounding the area, and Shen Zhenhua grits his teeth like he wants to poop. He can't believe that trash like Shen Xiang has a power like this. Hua Yungsen felt hot and covered her peanut. She asked Shen Zhenhua why he just staring blankly and ordered him to teach Shen Xiang a lesson. Before the fight worsened, someone from the second floor ordered them to stop. It was Yabadabadu. What I mean is Whitebeard, but it's obviously not him because his beard is not white. Well, I just don't know him. He reminded the two that this place is the Spirit Dan Hall and asked who dares to be rude in the area. Shen Xiang apologized and introduced himself. He politely told the bearded guy he didn't mean to offend him. He points to Shen Zhenhua and informs the bearded guy that his younger brother in Shen's family is incompetent and has messed around in the place, so Shen Xiang takes the initiative to discipline him. Behind him, Shen Zhenhua told him to shut up. The bearded guy rudely said to them that their business had nothing to do with the Dan Hall, and they had no right to make a scandal and disturb the Dan Hall's master while making dance. Pointing his finger, Shen Xiang tells Shen Zhenhua that he will let him go today, and if he is not convinced, Shen Xiang will see him at the Patriarch's selection. Hearing these words angers Shen Zhenhua and reminds him that he is not worthy of the Patriarch's selection. Shen Xiang informs him that he now has a spiritual vein and will naturally help his father in the selection. He also told Shen Zhenhua to pray so he wouldn't lose too badly. Gritting his teeth, Shen Zhenhua wondered what kind of dance Shen Xiang took that gave him such luck. However, the elders have passed on his spiritual level martial arts skill, the Tanyang slashing axe, as long as he masters it before the selection of the Patriarch. Dealing with Shen Xiang will be easy. He calls Hua Yungsen and informs her that they will leave. Hua Yunxin asks if he will just let Shen Xiang go. On the other hand, Shen Xiang politely bids farewell to the bearded guy. As he leaves, the two men are amazed at what they witnessed earlier. They think that the Shen family will produce a good alchemy seedling after they see that at such a young age, Shen Xiang managed to master the fire True Kai. On the second floor, as the bearded man watches Shen Xiang leave, a man suddenly talks behind him, saying that the kid is quite rare to be able to cultivate the fire of True Kai to such a pure level, knowing that he is still young. The bearded guy called him master and asked if he had seen what happened earlier, adding that the kid was talented and suggesting that they should recruit him. The Spirit Dan Pavilion Master informs him that he will not accept the kid and orders him to send a message to all alchemists in Wohu City, adding that no one is allowed to teach alchemy skills to Shen Xiang. Sometimes later, at the Shen family's courtyard, Shen Xiang was joyfully looking at the herbs. He cheerfully informs Su Meiyao that the dragon slaver technique she taught was truly amazing. He can't believe that he was actually able to ripen these herbs within 3 days. Su Meiyao proudly agreed with what he said and licked the balls. What I meant was the seed. As she does so, she explains the dragon slaver is made from the essence of heaven and earth and contains an incomparably majestic vitality. However, Shen Xiang dragon slaver is still far too weak. As of now, it can only affect these miscellaneous herbs. When his cultivation is pure and solid enough in the future, even the growth of millennium spiritual trees can be greatly accelerated. After explaining, Shen Xiang notices that the dragon slaver condensed by Su Meiyao is indeed much more effective. He thought that he still needed more practice. With a naughty smile, holding Shen Xiang's chin, she asks him if he wants her to help him improve his breathing techniques. With a seductive look, she told him that if he pleaded with her, she could also teach him mouth to mouth. With an innocent and kid-like look, Shen Xiang wondered if what she said was a little inappropriate. Your grandmother defended herself, saying she was just teasing him and asking why he took it seriously. A while later, as Shen Xiang sat before a pail of herbs, he informed his two senior sisters that he could also finally try alchemy with these herbs. He stands and asks the two if making alchemy really needs them to prepare so much food. With a mouthful that looked like swallowing some condensed milk, Su Meiyao replied that, of course, they needed to prepare enough food because they didn't know how long it would take. She asks if he is thinking of starving them to death. On the other hand, Bai Yu was moaning like someone was eating her peanut. Well, she really not moaning, she just can't remember how long it's been since she has eaten a jumbo hot dog. What I mean is food from the mortal world. Holding some divine thing, Shen Xiang wondered how long it would take for him to make these pills. But no matter what, he quickly tried it using his divine sense. A massive fire emerged from the thing, and he was teleported inside the divine realm. A bat swiftly flew towards him. Well, it was not a bat, it was a strange maroon beast with blue wings and a tail. His mouth widened, and he wondered what kind of species was before him. But before his jaw dropped, Su Meiyao entered the realm. She couldn't believe that Shen Xiang managed to enter the divine realm so quickly, adding that he was really talented. Hearing those words makes Shen Xiang wonder what's the divine realm is. Su Meiyao elaborates that this is her master's unique Tao of alchemy, to create a special realm using divine sense. While he is here, his true Kai fire will be greatly improved, and his alchemy refinement will be tens of times more effective than outside. She continues by explaining that the strange beast transformed by the fire of his true Kai is Bai Feng. After passing its first trial, he will be able to learn the refining method for making mortal-level pills. The contents of the trial vary from person to person, and it's up to him to figure out how to face them. After explaining, Su Meiyao turns back and tells Shen Xiang to think about it himself. He closed his fist, smiled, and declared that he would face the flame bird. The beast summons a flame ball into his mouth and unleashes it directly at Shen Xiang. He was surprised that it's already started. He jumped like a frog to dodge the attack. As he gritted his teeth, looking at his opponent, he summoned his true Kai fire. The beast unleashed a massive fireball. He prepared himself, shout and counter the beast's attack using his fireball. Still standing, the fire was slowly vanishing, and with a big smile, he was glad that his guess was right. This trial was to condense his true Kai fire at the right time and offset the opponent's attack. The beast closed his wing, and in an instant, he split into 3 cute little ducks. Well, it's a bird with a flame, and Shen Xiang was confident that he could dodge the simultaneous attack. But he was wrong. The flame merged into one, and he was toasted like a barbecue beside the beach, covering his nose like he smelled my armpit while typing manga-kun script. He wondered why he failed. He thought that maybe the size of these 3 birds represented the difference in firepower, and in that case, he needed to use different levels of purity of true Kai fire to deal with them. The heat needs to be adjusted constantly, and he plans to kill the smallest one first. He jumped, swung his hand to push away the beast's attack, and tried to catch one of the birds. But it swiftly dodged his hand and went behind him. As he grits his teeth, the mockingbird launches an attack behind him. He was thrown to the ground, but luckily he managed to make a balance and jump sideward. He looked at the three birds who were making whirl fire, and as he was slowly surrounded by the fire, he thinks that although the beast became smaller that split into three, its speed and attack frequently have become several times faster. It's necessary to distinguish the size of the firepower while avoiding it. Also, he needs to quickly make a counterattack. Shenxiang makes a move, jumps above them, summons his fireball, and unleashes it. But he failed and fell to the ground. Lying on the ground, he was amazed at his opponent's power and admitted that he had underestimated them. He stood up, shouted, unleashed his divine power, and in a blink of an eye, 7 days had passed, and the scene was changed at the Shen family villa. Shen Haohai, commander of the Shen family branch, is a patriarchal competitor, and he is at the 8th level of the mortal martial realm. He explained to Shen Tianhu that according to their clan rules, both the patriarch and their relatives must have good cultivation to participate. He pointed out that Shen Xiang, Shen Tianhu's son, is a waste without a spiritual vein. He added that Shen Tianhu doesn't seem worthy of competing for the position of patriarch. Shen Tianhu angrily told him that the entire Wohu city knows his son has the potential to make a variety of pills. Yet, he dares to call him a loser. He asks if the elders of the Shen family agree with what he said earlier. Shen Hanhai intervened, saying so what and adding that Shen Xiang got into trouble with the Spirit Pill Pavilion Master, and the other party said that in the entire Wohu city, no alchemist shall teach Shen Xiang. He went on to say that without a master, who knows how long it would take Shen Xiang to make the pill. Suddenly, Shen Xiang makes a grand entrance, asking who said he can't be an alchemist. He lands on the ground and smirks. Shen Xiang justifies that he may not be talented but can make pills without a master. Shen Hanhai called him a nephew and asked if it was so hot that he fried his brain. He continued belittling him, saying it takes at least a year to learn alchemy, adding that he had just mastered True Kai Fire a few days ago. After some arguing, Shen Hanhai agreed to play with Shen Xiang. But on one condition, if Shen Xiang loses, he has to bet something decent. In a confident tone, Shen Tianhu declared that if his son fails, he will withdraw from the patriarchal competition. He looks at his son and thinks that now his son has made a bet, he is sure that he has something up in his sleeves. With a smile, Shen Xiang thanked his father. He confronted his uncle and asked if he was sincere with what he said. Shen Hanhai smirked and said he was happy to have one less opponent. Shen Xiang smiled, released his fire kai, and shouted that he would begin refining the elixir. 1 hour later, as Shen Xiang continued refining the elixir, people were murmuring. They wondered if Shen Xiang would succeed in refining. Still, the others said that he couldn't unless he was a genius among geniuses. Still doing his job, Shen Xiang thought that the cultivation in the divine realm was really effective. His true Kai fire seemed to be dancing at his fingertips, and every change was clearly visible. He recalled the 3 mockingbirds. He felt that the training he did was not in vain to be smashed by those 3 stinky birds for 7 days and 7 nights. Inside the storage ring, Bai Yu asks Su Meiyao how long it took her to pass the trial. Su Meiyao informs her that it takes her 10 or 15 days. Still, she can't actually remember because it was a long time ago. Scratching her chin, Bai Yu tells her that Shen Xiang is more talented than her. Your grandmother got angry and explained that her master didn't even help her back then. She stated that she had been so carefully guiding Shen Xiang. But still, she was amazed by the talent of Shen Xiang, knowing that he made it within 7 days. She saw a bright future awaiting the guy. Back to the refining Eklabush, Shen Xiang shouted the word open, and the bystander opened their mouth. Well, the word is not for them, they were just astonished, which is why their mouth widened. Holding the floating elixir, Shen Xiang told them to check his masterpiece. The gray-haired elder was astounded after knowing that the body-tempering pills seemed even purer than the ones made by the Spirit Pill Pavilion. The brown-haired elder commended Shen Xiang, adding that his strength has already far exceeded a top-grade spiritual vein. Shen Hanhai can't accept the result and asks if Shen Xiang cheated. He suspected that the pill he made was not a real body-tempering pill. Coughing like an old man, Shen Xiang informs his uncle that he recently heard some interesting things from his subordinates. According to what Shen Xiang heard, they said that Shen Hanhai has weak Yongkai and is weak in certain aspects. Hearing those words makes Shen Hanhai angry. As a concerned nephew, Shen Xiang tosses the pill to his uncle and asks him to try it for his own health. Still furious, Shen Hanhai reminded his nephew not to go too far. The gossiper was proud and delightful, knowing their Shen clan finally had an alchemist. Still gossiping, the man on the right asks his companion if their Shen family's key training target should also be changed. The man on the left side agrees with what he said. Suppose the Shen family really cultivates an alchemist. In that case, it's just a matter of time before they become the greatest family in Wohu City. Shen Zhenhua can't accept what he hears. He shouts to Shen Zhang, declaring that today he will replace the clan elders to teach him a good lesson. In a concerned tone, Shen Xiang asked his little cousin if he had forgotten how miserably he had previously lost in the Spirit Pill Pavilion. Sitting in a pooping position, holding an axe, Shen Zhenhua hopes that Shen Xiang can still be as touchy as he is now after trying to resist his strike. He jumped forward to attack using the Tanyong slashing axe technique. In front of the axe, Shen Xiang grits his teeth and a massive explosion occurs. After the explosion, Shen Xiang was coughing in a Sailor Moon transforming position. Holding his axe behind his neck, Shen Zhenhua proudly announced that his axe was worthy of its power. After all, it's a spiritual level technique with such power in a single swing. After knowing that Shen Zhenhua had the Tanyong slashing axe, Shen Tianhu was shocked, knowing that the Shen family spiritual level technique is only awarded to Shen family members that have made great contributions. With a turtle face, he asks the two pretending innocent elders who secretly gave the axe to Shen Zhenhua because it's against their clan rule. Now that Shen Zhenhua had cultivated the axe, Shen Hanhai told Shen Tianhu not to argue anymore and asked him to see if Shen Zhenhua would live up to this opportunity. Back to the fight scene, Shen Xiang dodges the attack and swiftly moves behind his opponent. He uses his Azure Dragon Fist, and a blue aura emerges from his fist. Still confident, Shen Zhenhua called him a fool, saying he intentionally revealed it to him. He swung his axe, and Shen Xiang was thrown back. After the attack, Shen Xiang manages to still stand. He spits some blood and tells himself that he has underestimated his opponent. He knows it's impossible for him to attack at such a range. If he can find a chance, he just needs one move to knock down the arrogant Shen Zhenhua. Su Meiyao appeared in his mind and advised him that if he couldn't find a chance, why wouldn't he make it himself? She asks if he remembers the martial artist's roar at the Spirit Pill Pavilion. She continued asking him if he felt like his consciousness was shaken, and his 5 orifices were bound momentarily. Shen Xiang knows those roars can shock people's hearts and minds. Su Meiyao explained that it was a kind of howling sound skill. It's a similar technique to the Azure Dragon Fist he just used. She commands him to follow her instructions. As he sat in a lotus position, Su Meiyao instructed him to lift the kai between his lips and teeth while channeling his true kai. She goes on, saying to imagine the kai bursting out of his mouth like a mountain torrent, the hills collapsing and bursting out of his mouth. On the other hand, Shen Zhenhua rushed forward and called him a fool, saying he still managed to meditate despite his situation. Shen Zhenhua jumped to finish him. Shen Xiang opened his eyes and roared like a dragon. Shen Zhenhua was dumbfounded after seeing this. From the crowd, the gray-haired elder wondered if he saw a dragon, while Shen Tianhu cheered for his son. In the fight scene, Shen Zhenhua is disgusted after realizing that he was fooled by his opponent. He was surprised after seeing that his opponent had disappeared before him. Beside him, Shen Xiang asked if he was looking for him. He uppercut Shen Zhenhua, used an Azure Dragon Fist, and was thrown away. As he bounces to the ground, Shen Zhenhua feels the pain and has nothing to do but endure it. Standing before his beaten opponent, Shen Xiang asks if he is now convinced. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate all your likes, comments, and support for my channel. By the way, you may have read the title popping now. If you were too lazy to read the next chapter, don't worry because I will release part 2 sooner. I hope you won't transform into a Sailor Moon.